mean,
Woo!
we ain't even got no
We gotta
music,
live 'em
but
up.
let's just, you know what I'm saying? Should we keep dancing?
We could just dance the whole time.
Well, that'd
No,
be kind
she's
of
like, no, I don't want
That would
to.
be inappropriate. And we are very appropriate people.
Well, maybe Bose is. First of all, hi, cover model.
And,
Just saying,
you know, it was just a little thing I did.
from one cover girl
It was
to
no
another.
big deal. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley Graham, and I am so excited to be talking to my good friend Bose, but also to be talking to all of you. So I know Bozoma, St. John. I told you.
You'd be very serious.
Bozoma, St.
Yes.
John.
Okay.
I sang to her this morning, so
Yeah.
but we have a little bit of history, and but I'm so excited to be talking to you today because
Thank you.
you have recreated so many, you've recreated your own narrative, you've recreated so many other people's narrative just by watching you. And I really want to get into so much today about who you are because first of all, you worked with Beyonce, you have been honored, right? I mean, yes. You've been honored in Ghana for your knowledge, your wisdom, and who you are. And she brought 100 people with her there. And I'm just going to take it from your Instagram bio. Like, you've redefined badassery.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes. That's
I think
right.
it's great.
Thank you.
Right? So today we're going to be talking about culture, predicting it,
Yeah.
accessing it, creating it, and remaining authentic.
Yes.
And also for all of you, the Slido situation is happening. So if you have questions, make sure you submit them because at the end of this, we're going to be taking all of your questions. So make sure you put those in. Okay, so let's just start.
Yes.
Why you look so nervous?
I don't. I'm just so excited. I'm trying to stay in my seat is actually the problem. When you have on a skirt like this, all you want to do is just dance around.
Yes.
I'm trying to be professional and sit in my seat.
I have to say, like, every time I see you, your outfit just is like more and more on point. And it's like the glitter, the glitz, and you just go for it, but it always goes together.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, this doesn't go with that. It always goes together.
You know?
Peep the Converse.
I mean,
They go right with the glitter. Okay.
Yeah. That's what we
Everybody's like,
do.
I can't see it, so move on.
I'm living my whole truth. You know what I'm saying?
So I want to talk about culture,
Yes.
but like where it's come from for you, because
Yeah.
you were 6 months old, moved to Ghana, then 12, 13,
Yeah,
moved to
moved back.
Colorado.
Yeah.
And how has that and what has that done and shaped you from then to now with who you are?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that, you know, oftentimes I think in a seat like a CMO seat, you're often asked to look at the world in a very flat way. You know, look at it through the data, look at it through somebody else's eyes, make sure that it makes sense for the masses, right? Depending on obviously the product that you work on or the business that you're in. But for me, I find that very difficult. One, because I'm a super opinionated person.
Really?
Oh yeah, just a little, you know? Also, I happen to think that my own experience is worthy.
Wait, hold on, because worthiness is one of my affirmations. Yes, and I think that
Yeah,
that
let's
is
talk
something
about it.
that you really have to hone in on when
Yeah.
when you're your own boss,
Yeah.
when you're creating your own lane. You have to also know that you're worthy to be there.
Worthy.
Yes.
Absolutely worthy. Because especially for me as a black woman in the corporate spaces, my value has not been touted at all. And so knowing my own worthiness and knowing that my opinions matter, that my taste matters, that my creativity matters, my point of view matters. Like all of these things, this is all about worthiness. And so knowing that I can create communication or programs or hell, commercials, experiences, anything that requires, you know, some of the marketing know-how that you have and feel like it feels good to me and know that that's worthy is the only way that I've been able to then create some of the success that now people tout.
Where did your worthiness come from?
Ooh, girl.
I know.
How long do we have?
Well,
Yeah.
we got 40 minutes.
Okay, great. I'm gonna take 39 and talk about it. So,
Because I think that's a topic that a lot of people don't get to talk about.
yeah. Well, I think it also, well, for me personally, it started pretty early. As you just mentioned, I was born in Middletown, Connecticut, moved to Ghana shortly after my dad finished his PhDs. and my parents are originally from Ghana.
Plural.
Yes, plural, because academics, hello. But both of them were really insistent on making sure that my sisters and I had a very global worldview. And so even in moving around a lot when I was a kid, we moved to Nairobi, Kenya, we were in Washington, D.C. for a while, went back to Ghana, and then finally to Colorado Springs, Colorado when I was 12. They really taught us a sense of, making sure that it didn't matter where you had been, or who you were interacting with, that your own culture, your own history, even my name, meant something, that I didn't have to change anything about myself in order to be accepted. They didn't believe in assimilation, which is a difficult thing when you think about it, especially for immigrants, right? Is that you come to a place, you want to make sure that you're getting along, that you're not sticking out. Now, for my parents, well, first of all, they had 4 daughters who were almost 6 feet tall. We were going to stick out. Like that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't show up in Colorado Springs, Colorado in friggin' wintertime, and we're like, hello, we are here. You know what I mean? It was like, that was like legit Wakanda moments. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When I saw that movie and the warriors,
Yes.
the women showed up, I was like, oh, those are me and my sisters. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that was us. But it really taught me so much because I've told a story before about my mom who would invite my friends over for play date or for whatever, come over. Many of us we had that experience, right? Your friends come over, your mom or your dad orders the pizza, you guys watch a movie, maybe some popcorn. Yeah, my mom was the one who was like, oh yeah, no, we're not gonna order pizza, you're gonna eat hot pepper soup with fufu, and you're gonna eat it with your hands, and this is how you do it. And I was like, Mom, why can't we just get the pizza extravaganza? I don't understand. And she was just like, well, but you go to their house and you eat pizza with your hands, come over here and you're gonna eat pepper soup.
Right.
So for me, it taught me the value of making sure that there isn't a moment in time where I'm not feeling like, listen, you can be in my space and I can do what I do, and that's okay, and I'm gonna come to your space and you're gonna do what you do, and that's okay too. We're on equal footing. I don't have to pretend to be anything else for you.
She's not conforming.
No. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So going back to Beyonce, when I mentioned her earlier,
Always centers
can you
around Beyonce.
yeah, can you
sure.
set up a lunch date for us?
No problem. I got you, boo.
So you worked on the halftime show with her, and then
Yeah.
you also were working in between the Beats by Dre and going
Yes.
into Apple, and there was all these things happening for you.
Yeah.
What have you learned from those moments,
Yeah.
and how you've brought them into, and I'm going to get into Endeavor in a
Yeah.
little bit, but what did you learn? What were those teachable moments there for you?
Well, it's essentially the subject matter, right, that we're talking about the crystal ball. It's so interesting to me that we always are trying to predict what's about to happen. We're trying to see into the future. And the real key is just to pay attention to the present. It's what is happening right now? We can tell what's gonna happen in 6 months or a year just by paying attention to what's going on at this very moment. It's put your hand in the air and feel the wind move. Get still for a second, get quiet. Start paying attention to what people are talking about. What are people wearing? What are their emotions? What are they emotionally reacting to? It doesn't matter what the emotion is. It could be anger, it could be joy, it could be sadness, it could be anything. Just what are people reacting to? And start paying attention to those things. And so for me, all along in my career, it's been that. It's been carefully and systematically paying attention. Getting quiet sometimes and just being listen, I can people watch with the best of them. Okay? I'll sit there, I will watch people go by, I won't move. I'll just sit there and yeah, I'm one of those people, the weirdos, who are at the
I like
airport.
doing that at the airport.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's such a great place. Airport, malls, Twitter.
I'm here for it. Ask you about looking into your cultural crystal ball.
Yeah.
And what do you see? Because for me, I've been in this industry, my industry for 20 years. And I would have never thought that in just these last 4 years, the body positive movement would have sped up the way that it did.
Right.
And that my Sports Illustrated cover would have been this defining moment.
Say that again, Sports Illustrated cover.
Right.
Come on.
Thank you. This isn't my interview.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, that was a moment where, if I would have stayed quiet and looked around, I wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
There would have, yes, there was some yellow flag saying this could happen.
Yeah.
However, what is it that you can actively do to stay quiet and look for those moments?
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's a few things. One, I want to actually get back to the point you just made about like the speeding up of things.
Yes.
I do believe in physics.
Okay.
You know, science is a big part of this, right? Which is that my belief is if, you know, one molecule changes in the matter, the whole matter changes. And so can we be those molecules that change the matter? And the answer is yes. You know, it doesn't have to remain what it is. And so I believe that a big part of the reason why body positivity is what it is because of you. You know, that your influence in this space, your positivity, your joy, your fabulosity, your sex appeal, all of that is a reason why it is. Yeah, it's true. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Give a little affirmation.
You want these?
You know what I'm saying? It's a little affirmation on this wonderful morning, you know?
I mean, I love an
or
affirmation.
Afternoon, yeah. But I also believe, back to the point about worthiness, that my experience and, you know, my moments of joy or sadness or anger or whatever affect the work I do, and therefore it affects the outcome and it affects the culture around me. And therefore, because I'm at a seat which then can have a mass influence, I'm able to therefore do bigger work because of the things that I'm going through. So to me, there's so many things. I mean, going back to the question about knowing when to do whatever, you know,
And
or how that,
moment.
being quiet in the moments. It's like, well, what am I reacting to? You know, what's affecting me right now? And then being able to look at that and wonder, is that happening to other people? You know, and in what ways are those things happening? So, and by the way, it happens in all kinds of different industries, right? All of us are interested in music or in movies or fashion or tech or art or environmental, anything, politics. Take any of these industries and think about yourself. It's like you're not just interested in fashion and that's it, right? You have other interests. And so all of us have other interests. And as a marketer, when I am communicating, then I'm trying to understand, okay, well, this person might be interested in this particular area of culture, but they probably are also interested in this other thing. So how do I connect those two conversations?
And that's what you're doing now at Endeavors.
Yes,
So
that's right.
she's the first CMO of Endeavors.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I mean, I think it's a really big deal.
Just a little bit of a big deal.
I think that it's incredible. Can you explain to everyone, because Endeavors is like sports, fashion, art. Can you explain to everybody exactly what you do at Endeavors and what Endeavors is?
Yeah, well, okay, so this is what's so funny. So the 12-year-old...
I know what it is, because
well, you're a part of it. Yeah, exactly. You're a part of the family. Yes. Well, so 12-year-old me was really obsessed with pop culture as a way to get to know and essentially like communicate with my classmates.
Okay.
You know, when the joke about, you know, showing up in Colorado Springs at 12, being, you know, tall and dark-skinned and African, meant that there were so many things about my classmates that seemed different and odd to me. You know, I wasn't
They thought you were different, but you thought they were.
Exactly, I thought they were very strange. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to get to know them better, you know? So it kind of anthropology a little bit, which was that, okay, I read Teen Beat like nobody's business, you know what I'm saying? I was watching MTV, I was listening to the radio. I would go to the mall and walk around and look at clothes and what was being sold and what people were wearing and all of that. Like I wanted to know, and it was that absorption of all of that pop culture became a habit.
Wow.
It really became a habit, and I haven't let it go yet.
Because that's what you're doing now.
Yeah, and it helped me so much because it was like, you know, in the hallway at the locker, when somebody's talking about Paula Abdul and MC Scat Cat, dating myself, I was like, oh yeah, I saw that video. You know what I mean? Like there was something then for me to connect to. I think the same is true now, and so that's why this job at Endeavor, which by the way, over the course of my career, regardless of the company I've been at, whether it's Apple or Uber or Pepsi or wherever, it has always been about pop culture. But now I'm literally in the center of it. And so with WME, which of course represents you and a lot of people, actors and actresses and writers and directors of film and TV.
It's very vast.
IMG, which also is very much representing models and athletes, or Miss Universe organization, Professional Bull Riders Association, the UFC. All of these companies are underneath the Endeavor parent company. And so as the CMO, it is my responsibility to navigate all of those worlds, to write strategies against all of those companies and figure out how they all connect.
Have you been learning anything about yourself in this new position?
Oh, yes.
What is it?
I'm afraid of bulls. I'm scared. No, you know what is interesting is that I really do feel like I'm a very open person. I feel non-judgmental most of the time.
I think you are.
But sometimes I am judgmental.
You think
sometimes
so?
I'm a little biased. That's something I've learned. Yeah. Which is that I walked into, for instance, the Professional Bull Riders Association. I went to a bull riding event in Vegas.
Which is fun, like a rodeo?
Girl, I didn't know that.
Oh.
Nobody told me it was fun. You know what I'm saying? I went in there.
You get a couple beers, you sit down, you like watch.
Listen, we should have gone together, okay?
Oh, because I grew up in the South, and that was like something we did on the weekends.
Okay, so here's the thing. So the Rodeo Hall of Fame is in Colorado Springs, Colorado, but I never went there, okay?
None of your friends invited you?
Girl, I wasn't going there, okay? No, I was not doing that.
Okay, I got you.
So I went in with a lot of biases.
Okay.
I went in thinking that, this is a sport for a particular type of person.
Right.
Not me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Did you have fun?
Yes, I did have fun. And I also learned so many things about not just the riders and the history of riding and, the incredible history of Native American riders or Mexican riders or, the stories about the interaction between rider and bull, actually, that it's actually more equestrian than anything, in terms of the relationship. And I just understand the athleticism of it. And so even in looking at that and being like, okay, so if I walked in here thinking like, you know what, let me just, hold myself a little bit together because I don't know who these people are and how they're thinking of me, could we change the narrative?
Right.
Can we open it up? Because it is a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very adrenaline-filled sport, and it's a good time. So if I'm thinking that way walking in, like, can we help change the narrative of this space so that more people can be attracted to it?
And that actually brings me to my next question about wanting to create access to culture, and not like getting access to culture, creating culture, and how do we do that authentically? How do we do that? How do we start it? How do we make it inspirational? And how do we do it authentically?
Yeah.
Because I think that, we have to talk about culture vultures a little bit.
Ooh.
We do, and I said it.
We're gonna go there.
But we can get to culture vultures in a minute. But I want to know, because I feel like this room especially is a room that wants to know how to start that conversation of culture, how to create their own culture.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think we develop code words over time. And right now, the code word for, getting more people who don't look like the majority is like diverse or culture.
Right.
These are code words.
Right.
They don't mean shit.
They're like, we need black people.
Exactly. So let's bring some culture. What the hell does that mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think we first of all, we got to stop saying things like that.
So can we say black people?
Yes!
Okay. We need black people!
Exactly, we need black people. Hashtag, we need black people.
Yes.
Okay? We need black people, we need Latinos, we need some Asian Americans, we need some LGBTQI, we need everything.
We need
everybody.
Yes,
okay?
you're right.
So let's just say what that is.
Yeah.
And the other day I was like having this conversation and somebody was like, oh, we need more diverse people in here. And I was like, what does that mean? Like who is it that we want in here? Because don't tell me diverse. That does not exist. And
like,
so
be specific.
Yeah, be specific. And also for all of us who have experiences, clearly we all grew up someplace, something you went through something to get to this very moment in time. Your experience is worthy.
Right.
Your experience is what creates culture. And so when you come into a space, bring all of that with you. I keep talking about that over and over and over again in every conversation I have, just about bringing your full authentic self. And I know it sounds cliche, and I know it sounds like, duh,
yeah,
well,
the
of
word
course
authentic,
I would.
yeah.
But the thing is that we don't do it enough. We don't do it enough. We put on the mask, you show up, you pretend to be somebody else, especially in corporate environments. How many times have you heard, like, leave your problems at the door and come in? But why? Like, first of all, how do you do that? And the problem...
Well, has nobody ever asked you to leave all of you at the door?
Oh, of course.
And what do you do in that situation?
Oh, you really want me to tell you what I say?
Well, I have a... I do. I want to know because my sister-in-law, Kia, you know,
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
my husband very well.
Yeah.
She has been asked before, if you want to get this 6-figure job,
Yep.
you need to pin back your big curly hair.
What, girl?
Yes.
Just...
Yes. It has been suggested to her, and I'm curious, like, what are those conversations like? Because I know
See,
that
now I'm
you've
really
had
gonna get
them.
out of my seat.
I know.
Because like I could barely contain myself.
I know, I
Yeah.
see you shaking your leg.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I want you to be free in this room because I think
Yeah.
that there are so many people in this room and in the live that are watching that want to
Yeah.
know because you created your own lane.
Yeah.
Like you were the one who was like, culture, diversity, no, everybody's bringing in their own thing. I'm my own thing, you be your own thing.
Yeah.
But how does this room create that?
Well, that's just the thing, is that it does require some vulnerability and some bravery. You know, let's not pretend that you can just show up and feel okay with that, because a lot of us are alone in our spaces, or feel alone in our spaces,
Or the
because
only one.
everybody else is pretending. You know, and so if we are no longer pretending, and then you also no longer pretend, now there are 2 of us. And maybe a third will no longer pretend either. So I don't even believe that for many of us who are in these spaces walking around feel like our whole selves when we're in the spaces. And so let's just stop pretending. Stop pretending to be something that you're not. You know, it's like in a lot of job reviews or conversations with a boss, I had a trigger moment with the whole hair thing, you know?
Yeah, can you tell us what you said?
Well, because, you know, first of all, it's like, you know, I get the responses that say things like, you know, if you would just tone down your voice, then other people could hear your ideas better. And I'm like, no, it's called passion. Okay? That's what I have. I'm passionate about the ideas. And yes, I'm gonna use my hands and snatch air, okay? Yes. You know, because that to me is how I get my ideas out. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way you really express yourself.
That's really how I express myself.
Yeah.
And when I get excited, yes, my voice goes up. Octave goes up. You know what I'm saying? And I get pitchy. I know that. But that's because I'm excited and I'm thinking and I'm creating. And if I'm in...
It's your way of processing.
Yes, and if I'm in a conference room and we are talking about a creative idea and it's cooking and we're getting there, I want to be able to do that without having to think, let me quiet myself down. What word should I use? Oh my God, did I offend her just now with the excitement in my voice? Let me just...
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's, by the way, I won't be able to bring any of my imagination or my creativity then to it. And even though it sounds superficial about hair or clothes or anything else, that stuff is psychological.
It is.
Especially for anyone who has felt othered. You know, because what you are telling me then is that I don't belong here. Because if I have to show up with my hair straight, or I have to show up in that gray suit, or without my nail design, then I have to be you. That's what you're telling me.
And that person then is afraid of what they don't know.
Absolutely. Because then if I show up like this, then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I don't know what that is. I don't know what to do with that. So maybe they should just look like me, and then that way I'm more comfortable. Well, then I'm uncomfortable, though. And so then I can't bring the fullness of myself, and I can't bring the ideas. I mean, it literally, it happened to me, and it happens to me. And sometimes I do have to check myself, even now.
You check yourself?
Yeah. Because I walk into a room, or I walk into an environment, especially new ones, where maybe you don't know me, you don't know anything about me. And yes, the probability is I'm probably wearing sequins, okay? That's probably happening.
I usually see you with sequins.
Yeah, well, I love sequins.
I love it
I think
on
it's
you.
fantastic. So I walk in, and, you know, sometimes there's a reaction. It's like, you know, I can see it on your face. And I'm like, oh, yes, did you like it? Let me twirl for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to give you a second to gather yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's okay, because you're going to get used to me. This is now my space. And so you're going to get used to me. And then I'm going to bring the rest of myself, because it doesn't stop at the sequence. There's a whole lot going on up in here.
But I think that that's like a really great way to approach for anybody who has felt other walking into a new situation.
Yeah. And then plus, you know, it does connect still. And the reason why I say it's not superficial, because what happens with this connectivity of showing up as yourself, having these experiences that happen outside of our offices or outside of our boardrooms, et cetera, requires then that those things have impact on the work. And if you were, at a concert or at a movie or at an art exhibit or having a political conversation with a friend or something, there is probably something in that that will affect the future.
Right.
And if we're able to bring that into our spaces, then we won't have conversations like, I wonder what the trends are going to be next year. It's like all we have to do is just talk to each other. Hey, where'd you go last weekend? What were you talking about?
And having that open dialogue.
Yeah, and not being afraid of having that dialogue, especially as senior leaders. Like for me, in the last 5 or 6 years, I have made that mandatory for my teams. I want to know what you're doing. Well, also because I'm nosy, but I'm like, what did you do this weekend? What did you do last night? Well, don't tell me everything, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it safe for work. But like, what are the things that you're interested in?
Yeah.
Where are the cool things that are happening? And then be a part of culture. It doesn't work to sit in your office and read reports. It's like you've got to actually go.
You do.
Yeah, go to the game, go to the concert, go to the art exhibit, like do all of that. Have a conversation, an uncomfortable conversation about politics right now. Do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncomfortable.
It's like, but have it. Like, let's all be respectful, but have the conversation. And don't talk to the people who agree with you.
No.
It's like you got to talk about, talk to people who don't agree with you. Talk to people who have a different perspective than you. Because that also helps with this whole diversity and inclusion conversation. We want to talk about diversity, but we're only talking to the people who agree with us.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. And so, and by the way, it also means that when, we look around our rooms and we ask ourselves like, oh, well, you know what? I'm open. I'm cool. There's no problem with me.
Except
all my friends look the same. And my friends' friends, not your work friends, not your friends on Instagram, your real friends. Like, I'm not gonna, listen, nobody needs to know, but look at your friends. Like, do they all look the same? They all have the same opinion as you? Do they all practice the same religion? Then the problem is you, okay? And it doesn't mean that you have to stay that way. No, change it. You have the power to change it.
You do have the power to change it.
Yeah, it's like, listen, if all of my inner circle are the same, then I'm not getting any different, I'm not pushing any differences.
You make a really good point, and I always think of my mom, who's middle-aged white woman in Nebraska. All her friends are white. There really isn't much diversity there at all. But they have a book club. And every month they read a new book about something that's cultural outside of who they are.
Perfect.
And I think that, when you're in a space like that, you have to create something new for you and your group of friends, because sometimes it's just not there. It's not available.
Yes. And by the way, when people start saying things like, yeah, girl, yep, I agree, there's a problem. You know what I mean? Find people or subjects or topics that people are like, I don't know about that. I see things a little bit differently. It's like, okay, tell me about that, But
so now we're in the space where people it's viral, they're influencers, they want to make an impact. But I want to know, like, who is really making those cultural, who is really changing and moving the culture in companies, brands, and who are those individuals also?
Well, yes, we can make fun of people all day long.
We could, but we could also talk about who's doing it.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing, though, is that, I find influencers in a lot of different places, you know, where it's like, it's not always, the person who has on, like, the crazy outfit, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a little bit wild, you know? It's like, it's not always that person.
Like, why are you doing it?
Yeah, because the thing is that true influence is about knowledge about a particular subject matter.
Right.
And so it's like you can talk to a scientist and, that person's influencer because they have ideas about spatial changes that you don't have any idea about, or talk to someone who's in culinary, it's like.
But who do you think is getting it right when it comes to culture?
Well, that's the thing, is that there are a mix of individuals who are getting it right.
Do you have anybody?
I
You don't want to
think-
say anybody.
I don't think it's necessarily like companies, because
Okay.
companies are not brick and mortar. Companies are made up of people. You know, they're made up of individuals. And when those individuals move to some other place, they take that with them. You know, and so to me, it's like those individuals are what make things interesting. David Chang is an excellent example of somebody in the culinary space who I think is an incredible influencer. You know, he's trying things all the time.
Yep.
Like, you know, I love his ugly, what does he call it? It's like ugly delicious. I love that.
Oh, like ugly food, but it tastes
Yeah,
so
but
good.
it tastes so good. I'm always on it. I'm like, ooh, that looks disgusting as hell. You know what I mean? But it probably tastes good because he said so, you know? And so I would try it because he said that. Or it's like, I love Virgil Abloh.
Love.
You know, who came into fashion in a different kind of way.
Yep.
But he's certainly an influencer. He's looking at the world in a very different way.
So you've been getting culture right, left and right. Who's doing all your strategy?
To me, myself, and I.
You're taking control.
Oh, yeah. Well, because again, I feel like there's, well, first of all, there's no one better to do it than me.
Amen.
You know, it's like, especially for myself, and this is also part of the whole conversation around how we predict the future, how we predict trends. You know, really, it keeps circling back to that idea of worthiness.
Yeah.
You know, that your own experience
so
is
deep.
really important.
That is so deep.
Yeah.
It is. So we've seen a lot of brands not do, you know, it very well. And we're talking about, you know, misappropriation and trying too hard to manufacture something that's not authentic. How do we and how do brands avoid that?
Okay, everybody inhale. Exhale. Now inhale. Hold it. Keep holding it. Hold it. Does it hurt yet? It does hurt, right? Okay, let it go. That's what every company is doing. They're holding their breath. Okay? They're holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. Why are we doing that?
I don't know.
It's like, why are we doing that? Something is going to happen. Okay? That was spoiler alert. Something is going to happen in your company. Somebody is going to say something wrong. There's going to be some merch that is going to be released that is some bullshit. That is going to happen. What are you doing about it right now?
Woo!
Okay? It's like, let's look at our leadership teams. Let's look at our pipeline. Let's look at the creativity process. Let's understand our reaction to crisis. Do that right now. And even if you're in a company that feels la-di-da and everybody's happy and good, something is going to happen. Okay? So get started. Start doing that right now. About appropriation, here's the thing, is that there's no real appropriation unless you don't have empathy.
Okay.
So the way to get empathy is, again, to fill our spaces with people who are not like us. Appropriation happens when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, I understand. These people like this. Let me just do that. Instead of having someone who's in the room who's actually about that life. And yes, about that life, not about that life, about that life. You know, like for real. Because those people understand what's happening. They understand nuance.
Yes.
They understand like the texture of culture and language and symbols and images. Therefore, you can ask your office mate or the person down the hallway, what do you think about this idea? I had a thought, you know? And then be able to get immediate reaction. And again, it doesn't just happen because senior leadership requires it. Oftentimes I'm in these conversations, it's like, oh, well, there is no policy, and you know, our CEO does this, and there's no one in the C-suite who looks like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but what are you doing at your desk? What you doing? You sitting there just complaining? Or are you trying to do something? And even if you're not a hiring manager, like how about you look around your office when you get back there? Look around. If it's looking real homogeneous, I want you to say something. See something, do something.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
It's like you got to do it.
That's it.
So tell your boss or your manager or HR, I would like you to write an email. The email goes something like this.
Write it down.
I came to the office today and realized that there is no diversity here. And I feel uncomfortable. I would like this to be changed. Signed, the management.
I think that's brilliant.
No,
How
but I'm
many
just
of you
saying.
are actually going to go out and do that?
I mean, do that. Look
I
around.
didn't see any hands.
Look around. Well, okay. Well, it requires bravery, like I said.
Yeah, it does.
And some vulnerability.
It does.
Because guess what? The email you're probably going to get back is like, we're doing our best. We have this policy here, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. You're like, okay, well, I'll give you 3 months.
Right. Ooh.
And then I'll ask the
And then
question
what?
again.
Do they have to quit their job? Or?
No, they don't. Just keep asking the question.
Okay.
We need more of us to do that. We need more of us to do that. It can't just be me. Yeah. Keep asking the question. And so to me, it's like, and by the way, last year I was here at South by and I made some statements, which I will repeat.
I was wondering.
Well, because I was, part of the challenge why, cultural appropriation or companies get in trouble or blah, 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 is that we're always looking to the other to make the things right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, white man, what you doing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we need more people who are in the majority in our companies to also say the things that I say, that you say, that we are saying.
Yep.
We all agree, right?
Yeah.
Yes. None of us are going to sit in here and say we don't need diversity or we don't need, because listen, by the way, it will affect your bottom line. So if, for nothing else, if not for the goodness of humanity, just know that your business won't succeed. We have all the data that you need that requires you, for the proof that tells us that unless our work streams are matching our cultural streams, that those two things will not match and therefore our businesses won't be any better. It's everywhere. I don't need to repeat the data. So let's actually act on that. But it's not going to be, me or someone who looks like me who needs to continuously beat the drum. That's what I'm saying. Send the email.
We all do.
Yeah, send the email.
Yeah. So something, just to wrap this up, because we're going to ask some questions, but something that I do in my podcast on Pretty Big Deal is we do a rapid fire. And I want to do a little culture rapid fire. Say that 5 times fast.
Yes.
Culture rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. And you're going to finish the sentence, or just give us advice on this.
Okay.
All right, ready?
All right. I'm a little bit nervous.
Books we must read.
Ooh. Reshma Saujani, Brave Not Perfect.
Okay, you'll text that to me later.
Yes. Okay. She is the founder of Girls Who Code.
Oh,
yes. She's incredible. And I love the concept because we're all looking for perfection, even when we're not conscious of it. But if we were braver about our imperfections, we probably would be better people.
That's a beautiful statement. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, show we have to watch.
Show we have to watch. Insecure.
Oh, favorite.
Right? Let's see some more content featuring all black cast.
Yes.
Okay?
Song we must listen to.
How about, some Afro beats?
Yeah.
Because again, let's push some culture.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Designer we must wear. Besides Virgil, you already brought him up. Come on.
Studio 189.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they
This is
just
the one
won.
with,
with Rosario Dawson and Abrima or wherever. They just won the CFDA award for most sustainable brand.
Amazing.
And I think it's incredible because so many fashion brands are perpetrators of environmental terribleness.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're doing it in a sustainable way is great. So Studio 189.
That's great. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, we're going to bring it to you guys. We're going to ask some questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Joy wants to know, how do you balance your personal and professional brand?
Ooh, let's see.
I
Well,
mean, from the outside, it looks like you mend the two.
yeah, totally. I mean, well, because I'm one human being.
Right, and you've created your own lane, and you don't conform to what anybody wants.
But you know what? But this goes back to the whole point about authenticity, which I know is such a horrible word because we all say it so much and it doesn't
No,
really
but
mean
people
anything.
really need to know what.
But it's like, but that's part of the whole point, which is that there aren't two versions.
Right.
There's only one version of me, right? And so I am going to live as I am at the office, and I'm also going to live this way at home.
I know. I watch your Insta stories, and they are lit. And her daughter's always on there, and they're singing. They're in the same
My daughter's
outfit.
here right now. Hi, Lael.
Lael, she's so
Yes,
funny.
she comes along. So, but that's the whole point is that I bring.
along.
Yeah, comes along. She comes into the office. Listen, she was in my office when she was like 3 months old. I was like, girl, here you go. Here's a breast pump. You just go ahead, feed yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm very honest about that, But by the way, but this is the whole thing, is that I do want, gosh, I could go so many places, but I do want that to be normal. I want mothers to be able to come to an office and be all right with having to go to the side room to freaking pump because you got to feed your kid, man. You know, it's like, I want that to be normal.
It
yeah.
should.
Yeah. So I do blend everything, and I think that's all right.
I think it is too. I think it's the only way to do. I mean, that's what I've done in my career too. You can't have a persona to the world versus who you are at home, because all of a sudden, all the skeletons will come out of your closet.
But you know what? Here's the other thing, and this is what cracks me up, right? Is that, like, I think about a lot of things in analogies and illustrative ways.
Like the Bible.
But that, I like the Bible. But it's like I think about, you know, the fakers, you know, people who, like, and then they go out to a party and then all of a sudden their voice changes.
Yes.
And they show up in a weird outfit.
No, or how about when you meet them and then on Instagram their voice is different?
Yeah, and you're like, what happened to the, you know, have you ever, everybody has a friend like this, right?
Yes.
It's like, you're all cool, okay? Then you go to, like, some hot party, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm da-da-da. And you're like, who the hell who is that? You know what I mean? You get so weirded out.
Yeah.
That's how I see the difference when people point out differences between personal and professional. I'm like, oh, you're that person.
That's what it is, yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I mute their stories. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Okay. What, I can't, sequence lover. Oh, that's who this is coming from.
Oh.
What's the most creative idea campaign that contributed culture that you've seen?
That's a really, well, I'll tell you one that I really love that I feel like reflected culture, which is actually as important as leading culture.
Okay.
It was Nike's campaign that featured Colin Kaepernick. I love that campaign. Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Definitely deserves applause. Because the thing is that, you know, sometimes we get really afraid, I believe, in our corporate environments in challenging or being edgy. I cannot imagine, well, no, I can't imagine what the conversation was like to include him in the campaign. The kind of battles that probably took and risk. And, you know, in that first day when the campaign launched and, like, stocks started to fall, and that person or people who championed the idea, who were sitting in their offices like, well, let me just go ahead and wrap up, let me get my bag. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because you just knew you were about to get fired. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then it's like it turned around. And then all of a sudden, everybody probably want to take credit for the idea.
Right.
By the way, I'm totally okay with that. Like, even if I come up with an idea that, you know, challenges a concept, and then you want to take credit for it afterwards, go ahead. I got another idea too, so it's cool.
I have actually met some of the most brilliant and most confident people that I have met have said the exact same thing, and they're top tier leaders in their industry. They say, I don't need the credit. If somebody else wants to take it, go for it.
Sure.
And that was like a very humbling moment for me, because I was like, why don't you want the credit? You did it. This was yours. And they're like, but it doesn't matter, because I'm always going to come up with something bigger and better.
Correct. I'm like, I got ideas for days. You know, you could have that one if you want. It's a gift. Take it.
It is.
Take it.
All right. We'll skip that first one. No?
No, I don't mind.
No?
What's that question say? Let's see.
Okay, Miss Anonymous, Boz, how was your transition from Uber to Endeavor, and what were the main challenges or surprises?
Right. Okay. So.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, no, I don't mind the question, because this is truth. You know, these are our moments in our businesses, in our lives. You know, this isn't you know, for show. Like, this is my real life. You know, and when I got to Uber, I was honest in my desire to go and change essentially what I felt was a challenging environment, especially for women and for people of color. I didn't know why it was challenging. You know, I mean, I'd seen some things, but you never know what the truth is. And what I discovered was that it was a lot of people who really had a desire to do better. You know, who honestly had a desire to do better, but sometimes couldn't get out of their own way. You know, with the speed of how technology changes and the competitive landscape and all these things, it was just like, it was getting in the way of the good. And at some point, it became too overwhelming for me. You know, and I think this is actually a good lesson for all of us, you know, which is that, you know, you don't always have to be the savior. That you can save yourself too. And for me, it was one day looking at my environment and looking at the work I was doing and believing in the work and knowing that it was for the good, but that I personally couldn't do it anymore. And I decided to save myself.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Ladies, you're great and I love your confidence, but how can women get more confident if they lack confidence and it holds them back from using their voice? I get asked this question every freaking day, so I want to hear your answer.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, is that I do feel like confidence obviously starts from within,
Exactly,
right?
100%.
However, some people have a hard time with that. And so I actually encourage those of us around to encourage that person who doesn't have it or lacks it.
Like pay it forward.
Correct. I'm huge on affirmations of other people.
Oh, giving other people affirmation.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I give myself affirmations as well.
I was gonna say, like,
I mean, listen. I looked at myself in the mirror this morning. I was like, girl, you are just so damn cute.
Yes.
You know, damn it, just go out there and let them see you. You know?
Yes.
I said that to myself. I won't lie.
Let them see you.
Yeah, let them see you. But also, I believe in the affirmations of other people. You know, very much like the ideas. I feel like I've got enough confidence, enough affirmation to give it to other people. More gifts.
Yeah.
You know, because the thing is, it doesn't dim my light to shine a little bit on you.
It only makes yours brighter.
Yeah, so let's give it, you know? So to me, it's like you know, sometimes we give social media a bad rap too. We say like it's, you know, this place is like negative and it's terrible and like you compare yourself and blah, blah, blah. But like, we can change that feeling too. That the energy that you put out, you will probably receive. You know, and that if you encourage a space of affirmation, you will probably get that. The thing I love most about my own social media is the fact that, like, girl, there won't be one time I put up anything and somebody will be like, girl, that skirt though, ah, your hair, you know, and then here I go, girl, I clicked on your profile, you look cute as hell. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there needs to be more affirmation of each other and also supporting each other. So yes, I see other women doing amazing things. Guess what? I'm gonna big you up. I'm gonna talk about you, you know? And so practicing that for other people sometimes will give you enough confidence in yourself too. So for the person who asked, I would encourage you to give the affirmation. Start that, practice that. You know, it's like tell somebody else how amazing they are. Tell somebody else how good their ideas are. Tell somebody else how bomb you think they did that day. You'll find that eventually that energy comes back to you.
It's like having a gratitude journal.
Correct.
Except for you're voicing it out loud.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I like that. Okay, let's do one more, maybe two. Okay, so another anonymous. I want to make sure that this is good. Okay, what piece of advice has helped you the most and served you the best throughout your career?
Oh, man. Gosh, I've been given so much advice over the years. I have a fun one.
Okay. No,
So Indra Nooyi, who was the chairwoman of PepsiCo, one of the most powerful businesswomen in the world. She just recently retired. In her office, she had a few like knickknacks, you know, things. Her office was very like ordered, but she had a few things around. And I remember once that she said that some of it was reminders of bad things that people had said to her over the years. You know, like sometimes you collect things, it's always positive, right? It's like always good things, like a gift or something. But she had some stuff in there, and I was like, first I was like, ooh, that is creepy. And that's a negative type of situation. I don't want to be around all that negativity, you know? But the amazing thing is that when I went back to my desk, I really thought about it. No, I really did. I thought she was a creep for that. But you know what? But it turned out to be amazing.
I want to know what it was.
Well, I won't tell you now. I'll tell you later. But anyway, the point was that I went back to my desk, and I was thinking about some of the criticism or some of the things that have been said to me that I probably pushed into the back of my head, which is interesting because we do that as a self-preservation, right? But it can also be motivation. And there was this one time when I had actually, this is, okay, so it's about to really go, okay?
Okay,
so
I'm ready.
Y'all are ready. Yeah, it was 2013. It was in like March. I had just that year was the year that we did Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime show.
Okay.
It was incredible, an incredible experience working with her, proving all the people wrong who said that she wouldn't connect to a large audience because she was a black woman, and a black woman hadn't been on that stage in 10 years since Janet Jackson.
It's crazy.
And we fought really hard for that, and she killed. I mean, like, completely slayed the entire thing, and we were feeling real high. And my review came up, and I thought, this is it. Like, in fact, you're about to make me chairman of this company. You know what I'm saying? I was like, dude, you can't even do better than I just did, you know? And my review came around, and my boss at the time said that I wasn't hitting enough home runs.
Whoa.
That my contributions were not enough. I was getting to first base, second base, but then somebody else always had to bring it home. And I thought, what?
Wow.
And this is one of those moments where, you know, it's like, yeah, of course, a lot of people were taking credit for that moment, you know, and like I said, I didn't really care because I knew what I did. Beyonce knew what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew. And so I didn't really care that much that other people were taking some of the credit, but it was a moment of realization, you know, and I felt that, wow, well, you know what? Sometimes you do need to get into your own self-promotion. And you need to stand up for yourself and say how great you did that thing. Because somebody else will write the story for you. And somebody else will write you out of that story.
Somebody will write.
So I bought myself a Louisville Slugger. Not because I was gonna go beat his ass, but because I wanted to keep that in my office to remind me that I do hit home runs. And that when I hit the home runs, I'm gonna cheer for myself. Wah! The crowd goes wild. You know, like I'm gonna cheer for myself whenever I hit a home run. And so since that day, and every day afterwards, if there is something I worked on, did, created, championed, talked about, had a good time doing, hell, I showed up and I just had a good attitude, I'ma praise myself and support myself and be happy in that moment and show everybody the home run, because that will never be taken away from me ever again.
Wow. I don't know how we could end on a better note. So thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you so much, Bozoma.
Oh.
And we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.